Uh, Here.
Yes. Yes, Rita, we can hear you. Well, we could.
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Oh my God, I almost had a fit. All right, I think it's time to start. It's 4:32. So I just want to say good afternoon to everyone. This is the Education Committee meeting. Welcome to the members of this committee, Majok, Allen, and Rod, and all the other counselors and city colleagues that have been able to join us today. I would also like to welcome our guest, Susan Slack, CFO of the Syracuse City School District, who will be presenting for us today, and Superintendent Alicea that I saw in my contacts a few minutes ago. I just want to make sure we all understand we have no legislative items to present at this meeting, and we're presenting parts of the budget of the Syracuse City School District to have a better understanding when we are presented with the full budget. Today's topics will include transportation, staffing ratios, student support services, and professional development. With that said, Susan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Counselor. Good afternoon, everyone. Just a little backdrop, as you might be aware, we've been going through a lot of changes the last month or so. So our budget for next year, tomorrow, we will be presenting to the board a draft estimate of our budget. And then next Wednesday on April 22nd, we will actually finalize our budget recommendations and present those at that time. So our budget is a little behind schedule, about a week behind right now. Prior to all of this happening, Counselor had asked us to put together information to speak to you about professional development, transportation, CBOs, and mental health services. So in preparation for that, we sent over to Amanda a couple of documents that I believe she was able to share with all of you. Is that right?
Yes, they were all forwarded.
Okay.
Yes, we received them.
Okay. So I thought we would start with transportation. Counselor, was that your first item?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So what I've shared with you is two documents. The first has a number of graphs on it. And this is older data, but regardless of the numbers, the data is similar in current years. And what this is pulled from the State Education Department data filed by school districts. And we've compared our district spending on transportation to the big four, which is Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, and Yonkers. And then also added Utica and Rome because they have similar, although they're smaller, they have similar needs as to the city of Syracuse. So oftentimes we compare ourselves to them as well. So the charts on the left-hand side show you how much we spend per pupil on transportation compared to our peers. And the charts on the right show the total spending in our budgets for the 2017-18 year. And what you can see is, although we spend about $22 million a year, our per pupil is about $540 per pupil, which is lower than all of our peers other than Utica. We attribute that mostly to the contracts that we have with First Student and Centro are very competitively priced, and they don't have adjustment factors for fuel. So in years where fuel goes up or down, our rates with them are relatively steady and we don't take those swings. Like right now, we'd be better off if we were paying for fuel. But more often than not, fuel prices are going up and we are not incurring those additional costs with the contracts that we we have. Rochester, for example, they're about 1.4 times bigger than us in terms of the number of students that they serve. They're a little bit larger in terms of mileage that they transport students, but you can see that their cost is exponential when compared to ours. So I know that traditionally the council has asked us to look into transportation because with schools of choice, we do transport kids across the city far more than we would if we had homeschools like we did 15, 20 years ago. But when you look at us compared to our peers, we are still relatively efficient in operating at a low cost. Are there any questions or comments on that?
So, Susan, can you hear me? The students, since you're doing a comparison, the other districts, do they also transport kids like us, 1.5 and 1 mile?
They're all a little bit different, but if you were to look at our suburban districts locally, most of them, by and large, pick up every kid. So they have money in their budget because they raise their own taxes, and taxpayers will vote, yes, they want to increase their taxes to have all the kids transported. So most of our local Onondaga County peers actually pick up 0 or at half a mile. These other larger districts, they follow the state standard, which is the 1.5 miles. But if they have additional funding, they do lower that. Rochester, I believe, is at 1.5 miles, but yet their costs are very high. Did I answer your question, Counselor?
Yes, you did. Sorry, I'm having trouble with my audio. It's coming in and out.
Are there other questions or comments on that?
I have one. This is Joel. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
So I just want to know in terms of transportation, what is the ratio of students to let me take that back. What's the number of student compare the number of student in Utica, the number of student say in Albany compared to us? Do we have more student or do they have more students?
So we, if you go back to the bar graph, we have about the same number of students as Yonkers, which is the bar right next to Syracuse. We,
I'm sorry, Suzanne. I don't see the PowerPoint. I saw the email, but for some reason it come up as one slide. I don't. Maybe my
it has like 4 attachments. If you tap each one, you should be able to open each one. They're all like one page.
so Yonkers, for example, Toll has about the same number of students as us, around 21,000. Buffalo is about 37,000 students.
So okay.
Rochester is about 33,000 students.
So what's the cost per student in Rochester?
So it's about $1,413 per pupil compared to Syracuse, which is about $540 per pupil.
And based on what I read before and heard, and that the part of the reason that our students have lower number is that unintentional, or is it because of the financial constraint?
So are you
You get
saying the number of students in the district or the number of students that we transport?
Number of student we transport. You said we had 500 per student here, and then in Rochester they have 1,000 per student. Money wise, that's what I'm talking about, right?
Correct. That is correct.
Okay, but what I'm asking is, because per student we have $500 per student, and in Rochester there's 1,000. Is that a financial constraint, or is it because of our own financial management way of managing our own money?
I think it's more the result of years and years of financial management. And we have a really good partnership with First Student locally. They do everything in their power to comply with all the rules and regulations and keep our costs low. So we do RFP their service every 5 years. And for the past 3 RFPs, they have come in head and shoulders above the competition in the marketplace. In Rochester, I don't know how competitive the bus companies are in Rochester itself, but I do know for years, dating back to prior to my even being here, everybody talks about how out of control the spending is in Rochester. So in no way am I comparing us to them to say they're the benchmark. We certainly should be far lower than what they are spending, but I thought it was useful for you to see how we compare to the other big five, because I think oftentimes the only lens that you get is what's happening locally in our marketplace.
All right, thank you. I guess the question I should probably have asked first was, out of the 21,000 students that we have, how many? What is the percentage of student that takes buses?
Okay, so on the second page that we sent to you, there is some more information, including the number of students. So in the current year, we have 17,962 students being transported. About 13,000 of them are on yellow bus, about 5,000 are in Centro, and then about 160 are actually transported on district-owned buses, and those are primarily special needs students. So out of the 21,000, we transport about 18,000 students.
Suzanne, does that include those students that we transport outside of the district to other schools?
Yes, so to charter schools, to Catholic schools. Some students are in foster care outside of the district. We are required to transport those students. Any students that BOCES serves for special needs, we also transport all of those students.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Are there any other questions in transportation from anyone else? Okay, maybe we can move on.
Okay, thank you. Counselor, was your next item professional development?
Let me see. Staffing ratios and student support services, but it doesn't matter. If that's what you have next, that's fine.
No, that's okay. So this is the chart in your packet. It might have been the last page that shows our staffing ratios. And what this is, this particular chart on the far left-hand side shows you the number of students at each school. And then initially, under the green column, it's showing you the number of full-time equivalent positions at each school for those particular titles. So school counselors, psychologists, social workers, and so on. See a column that says CBO, Student Support Services Staff. Those are community members, typically that run through the county program, who are working in our schools. So we pay for the contracts, or some of the contracts are funded by the state for folks that are employed through the agencies to work in our school buildings. So you can see that in total, we have 165 school district staff. There are 215 agency staff in our buildings for a total of 381. And then over to the far right, what that shows you is the ratio. So how many students are being served or able to be served by the number of staff in each building. And it breaks it down in terms of counselors, psychologists, social workers, as well as by the CBOs. So overall, it's not written on here, but if you were to take the total number of students and divide it by how many of our employees we have, the 165, the caseload is about 112 to 1. When you add in all the CBO staff, the caseload drops down to about 48 students to 1 provider.
So the CBO staffs are there by contract? Or how does that work?
Yes, so you may recall in years past, Ann Rooney would give a presentation to the
Right.
council
Yes.
explaining all the different services provided through the county that we actually pay $1.5 million towards, and it drives that $16 million of COPS funding for most of that programming. And just to note, in the past year, State Ed has changed the requirement for guidance counselors. They are now also required at the elementary level. So we are increasing the staffing for the number of counselors over time to make sure that we're meeting that mandate.
And then going back to the CBOs, if I remember correctly, the school principals, they choose if they want to work with certain CBOs, and they're involved in how they craft the services. Is that still that way?
I believe what you're referring to, counselor, is actually for extended learning time. It's not
Yes.
these particular CBOs. These are, I can give you an example. So the consolidated care services and family support that they provide,
Mhm.
it's Promise Zone, student assistance counselors through Contact, the mental
Oh,
health
okay.
clinics with Arise, Brownell, and Syracuse Community Health Center, and then the child welfare response teams.
Mhm.
So that's what these social services or mental health services agencies that they're providing those.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
How do you know? I mean, how do you measure their effectivity?
You wanna answer?
Sorry, we're sharing the computer. So we do an evaluation at the end of the year about the number of cases that the people are working with. We get feedback from parents, we get feedback from the staff in the building, and we do that presentation to the board. Again, this is a partnership that has been in place for years. Money that Assemblyman McNarelli gave the county, and we have been working together for years to continue to provide these services to the students. Different from what you were talking about before about the other community-based programs for extended day that are provided from Red House or most or other agencies in the community.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Do we have any other questions from anybody else? Okay, so let's move on.
Okay. So for professional development, I didn't know what specific questions you had, but did put together just a little bit of information for you. What we did several years ago is opened up the Professional Development Center when the Teacher Training Center down on Fayette Street had to close. And what we've done with that is tried to make available for all of our certified staff, which is teachers, teaching assistants, and school administrators, that they can get the minimum requirement to maintain their licensure while they're in the school district with the variety of training that we offer. So everybody's required to have a minimum 100 hours of continuing professional credit every 5 years. They have ample out, oh, excuse me, it's gone up to 175, superintendent is saying. So they have ample opportunity throughout the course of the year to participate in some mandated and some optional training that we offer. Last year, we had 206 topics offered at our professional training center. Over 1,100 sessions were offered, and over 3,000 employees actually attended those training sessions. Most of the training that is provided in the district is done, is paid for with grant funds for professional development. So it's about a 4-to-1 ratio. So if we spend roughly $5 million a year, about 4 million of it is available on grants to pay for professional development. What we have been doing the last several years is trying to reduce the cost of the training for our staff. So we are offering more in-house and less traveling for professional development. We will pay for a trainer or presenter to come in-house, train a group of our staff, rather than sending our folks out, paying for their travel and hotel and accommodations for the training. And then we've also rolled out an online video option for training that we have mandatory training for everybody, probably similar to what the city has for OSHA and sexual harassment and those required trainings. We've now opened up that platform so that we can videotape any professional development that is done, put it into that library of videos so that staff can access that. And it logs for us that someone did log in, they viewed the whole thing and took the test at the end, so that we're able to track the professional training that way as well. At the beginning of the year, all of our new hires, we hire between 150 and 200 new teachers each year. We offer new employee training for 2 weeks. It's an orientation program. And then all of our new teachers are assigned a peer assistance and review person to help guide them their first 2 years as a teacher, to mentor them and help them with the transition. And then they also are part of a mentor training program that is offered by the state. And then we also give them a lot of in-service training opportunities early on in their career to help them to increase their learning curve a little bit more quickly than it used to be.
What about we were talking before, and the children that come to school, they're living in trauma, and I know that the district has done great strides in training everybody that is around the children to be able to de-escalate situations and address whatever the situation. Can you talk a little bit about that?
For the past 2 years, we have done, we had a committee that looked at trauma and resiliency in the community. We have visited the program that they have at the Schenectady School District. So we have provided professional development to all our teachers. And we have a committee at each one of the buildings that look at social emotional learning for all the students in the district. So we provide support for the students, support from for the parents, and support for the staff. At the beginning of the school year, we do a survey, the panorama survey to look at what are the needs that the kids have, and we try to match the needs with the support that we have in the building, with the family support services staff, and we provide that support during the year to the students. We also have been doing a lot on cultural relevance education to try to make sure that everyone understands the needs of our kids, the talents that they have, and how can we continue to work on that talent and support our kids in the district.
Excellent. Okay. And with this COVID-19 crisis, you're doing classes online for the kids. Have you had to go through last-minute training with teachers, students? I mean, how are you coping?
right now.
Besides going crazy, right?
It's been very interesting and a great experience, not only for our kids, our family, but also for our staff. We were used to have the kids in front of us, and teach them how to use the computer, but we have had to go back, teach our staff also how to use those platforms, how to do the WebEx, to do the Zoom, to do Skype, uh, program in order to continue to have a continuity in instruction for the state. We have to submit a report to the state every week about the meals that we provide, the child care that we provide, how many kids are involved in instruction, how many kids we have contact or not contact with. So we continue to work on that, knowing that almost 40% of our kids do not have access to technology at home. They don't have internet services. We began a partnership with WCNY. We have our teachers and our administrators that they're going in, they are recording lessons and they're teaching those lessons to our kids every day, because we know that their TV in all the houses, so they don't need to have a cable, they don't need to have a satellite dish. They can use the old system of the old antennas that we grew up with, and watch those lessons. So the feedback that we're getting from some of our parents, some of the staff, and some of the kids has been very positive. We have had teachers that they have come out of the comfort zone and been very creative. We are also, for the kids that do not have the internet, we are doing packets. So at the same time that we're delivering meals to the houses, we're also delivering packets for the kids so they can use them when they're watching the TV instruction that is going on. So it's been a new day. It's been a new day, something that we have to revisit and have a discussion for the future. We don't know how long this is going to take. We have let some people use our laptops, and hopefully we will get all of them back. But we're doing everything that we can to support our kids. I say thank you to Bolina, thank you to the Allen Foundation that they have provided our kids with Chromebooks also. So it's been a great partnership between the district, community agencies, United Way, WCNY, and everybody else that is going out of the way to support our kids. Our kids have some needs that they don't have in the other suburban school district, but we're making sure that they get the support. Our teachers are making contact with them, and there's ongoing communication. Some of the parents are complaining that they're getting too many phone calls, but we're doing everything that we can to support the kids during this time.
That's good. Thank you.
Interesting. It's been interesting.
How many Chromebooks did you give away versus how many do you think you actually need?
We had a donation of 370 Chromebooks that were given to us. It would be nice if we can give one to every kid. But we were not able. We continue to do that. We wrote an appeal to our Smart School Bond Act, and we're waiting to hear from Albany so we can have a laptop for every kid in middle and high school, and then try to continue to get more for the elementary students.
Have you thought at all about having creating a permanent online high school? For instance, I have a tenant who had lived in Florida for a while, and their 17-year-old daughter had enrolled in an online high school in Florida, and she actually stayed enrolled in the online high school in Florida the 3 years, like the 2 years that she's been here. So like
we were using some platforms before about that, but there were some issues with New York State and online courses. What we're doing right now, we have all the high school courses on Canvas. That is a platform where our own teachers are recording the lessons and all that. So they are being graded and taught by our classroom teachers. But like you said, this is something that we're going to have more discussion about it, because it has opened the doors and our eyes that we need to be prepared in the future for something else that may happen again.
Yeah, I would like personally, it's not for me,
Yeah.
not the online teaching, not the online learning, none of it. But By the end of the day, I end up with a hoodie wrapped around my head because I can't handle it. But but I do think there are some people who would choose it. So
Yeah,
to the
some
extent we
kids are
do this,
great. Some kids are great doing that. I mean, but there's some kids that, you know, we still need to give them the pencil and paper or to have a person to go to their house and try to help them with that instruction. So, but it is something that we will have to look more in depth in the future because we don't know what could happen again. So,
Right. Can I just chime in a little bit,
Sure.
Rita?
Yes, please go right ahead.
I think, Superintendent, you're right. I think it's time to be, you know, because of what coronavirus has shown us, it's time to be to explore possibilities and to be flexible. However, like Councilor Rudd said, online cannot replace, especially at the high school level,
no.
cannot replace the power of in-class learning, because in-class learning, especially for the kids, is more powerful than online at this point. But we need to do if we need to be online so that they can continue to learn. Yes, you know, personally, like Councilor Rudd, I would not be in favor of really encouraging online learning, especially for high school learner, considering that they need to be able to learn social skills and other things that are necessary for their development. So it's just I want to add a little bit on that. But the second part that which is more of a question for me, is cultural competency in the district. What is the ratio of minority students to teach to minority teachers in the district? Can you fill me in on that?
We are not there yet. Uh, we have our students are about 70% minorities when we include all the races, and only about 15% of our staff is minority.
And that's have included class teachers, classroom teachers.
Yeah, classroom teachers and TAs, yes.
Okay. So, but for classroom teachers specifically, not TAs, but
Yeah.
Is that what is that number?
It's about the 15%. 15%.
Okay, it's about 15%. Okay. And that includes TAs and okay. So I think the in-classroom teacher would be much lower, right?
Yeah. Again, we try to hire as many as we can every year, but you know, some of them do not stay in teaching, and some of them come to Syracuse and then they leave. So, but our commitment from myself, the board, is to try to have a workforce that represent the student population that we have in Syracuse.
So besides, how do you make up for that? Besides just, is it through regular staff? How do you make up? Obviously, and you know that's an important piece. How do you make up?
We
How
have
do you?
partnership with different colleges and university to try to get more minority people to go into education. We have a partnership with NYU. We have a partnership with Syracuse University, with Oswego, trying to recruit more minorities to go into education. We have the career ladder program that, you know, if you're a TA and you want to continue to get your teaching degree, we help you with that. So we're doing everything. Well, we're doing a lot to try to get more minorities to get into education.
And and you don't have to answer this. Why are they coming and leaving? The few that you have, why do they come and leave?
Different reasons. I mean, some teaching is not for them. Okay. And I want people who wants to be here working with our kids. Some of them, they get married and they move to other places. So some of them, they don't stay in the city. We're competing with the other 23 school district in Central New York. We have some of them that once they get 1 or 2 years with us, they go to other districts. So
So it's I know there are many underlying purposes, but is what are the top reason? Is it the pay? Is it the environment? What it,
it's a combination. It's a combination. I mean, our teachers in city, we are the second highest paid in Central New York. But again, right now we're trying to negotiate a new contract, and they're going to other places. You know, they feel that in other places the class size is less. That some of the other kids have less behavior issues. Some of them think that is better in other district, and then they come back to us because this, you know, the grass is not always green on the other side. So different reasons.
mm, mm.
So, Superintendent, when you talked about that ratio of 15% in the classrooms, does that include, because I mean, you do have other positions which are administrative in the schools that also do give support to the students that are from the minorities. So they're not included in that 15%, are they?
No, they're not. The number of minority administrator is less than the number of teacher positions.
Okay.
Superintendent, this is Helen. Can I ask you a question?
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
Okay. Um, how many programs are inside of the district?
What kind of programs, President?
Like all of the different add-on programs that's being included, that's being paid through different sources like the county or the different grant fundings. How many different, like, I know we have peaceful schools, we have street addictions, we have good, like, we have a lot of programs inside of the school. So how many are there actually?
And I don't want to give you a number that is incorrect, but I will get to you with those all the programs and the numbers that we have.
Okay, and
Okay.
just out of being curious, for the time that you've been here, are these programs really working the way they're supposed to?
For the time that I've been the superintendent or that I've been with the district?
Just
Don't
the
answer that.
overall,
Don't answer. Don't answer that.
overall district. Because okay, where are our graduation rates are at right now?
They got the
64.
graduation rate is the highest that it's ever been in the district. We're 64.5 for the first time. So 6 years ago we were at 48, and we went to the 50s, 60s. So this is the highest we ever had in the district. So are we what we need to be, what we would like to be? Not there, but we're making progress. We are increasing the graduation rate. Are all the kids dropping out? No. Some of them are taking them 5 years. Some of them are taking 6 years. Some of them are taking 4 years and a summer to complete the high school. But we're making progress in that area.
And I appreciate that, but I asked that question to go to this question. Do you see these programs being part of the contributing to the graduation rate?
Those programs, most of the programs that we have, the elementary level, they're helping to support the social emotional learning. The programs at the high school level, like the Hillside, it is helping us increase the graduation rate. They work with the kids from 9th grade all the way until they graduate from high school. So every program, is it every program contributing at the same level? Probably not. And that's one of the things that the board is asking us to do an evaluation of every program that we have in the district to make sure that they're really, really doing what they're supposed to be doing and that they're helping us achieve our goal. And one of the big goals is graduation rate in the district.
Okay, and then my last question on that, and you may not have an answer, and that's fine. Do you have a dollar amount for all of these different entities within the district?
It's all different funds, but we'll get it to you when we get all the programs and the total funds.
Thank you.
Rita, can I?
Go ahead. Yes.
So this is more than a common, and Madam President, thank you for those questions. This is more than a comment, more than a question. Superintendent, I think as somebody that graduated from the district and somebody that have lived in this community for 18 years, and simply a lot more people have lived here longer than I did. It's, you know, I among many counselors here understand the struggles that you are going through with your team, trying to give our children the best possibilities and best outcome in life. It is so unfortunate that you have to deal with the failure of us as a community in your schools. The fact that the children that we send to you are, you know, in most cases are not ready to learn, because as a community we have not, starting as parents, we have not done what we are supposed to do to give you children that you are supposed to train and give them the best possible the world can offer. You know, so I'm just saying this to say that, you know, we feel you. We, as community leaders, we know what you are dealing with. And like I said, it's unfortunate that you have to be the one as a district trying to supplement something that as a community that we can give our children. And we expect that you produce the best when we give you kids that are not ready to receive the best.
I want to say thank you for that. I have been with the district for 37 years, and I'm still committed to do the best that we can for our kids. Parents are sending us the best that they have. Sometimes for some of them, education was not a priority, but we want to make sure that, you know, our kids get the benefit, everything that we can do so they can be successful. I see our kids as assets, not as expenses. And I want to make sure that, you know, that we have worked together. I mean, the last few years have been great. We have gotten some extra support from City Hall, some extra support from the state, but we need to continue to work with our parents. Right now, COVID-19 has given parents a different perspective about our teachers and what is happening in the classroom. They feel now that the teachers are underpaid, underappreciated. I had a parent who called me and said, listen, I know that I have called you many times to complain about teachers. I'm never going to do that again. And I will remind that parent of that comment that he made to me. Because, I mean, we are dealing with a lot. We have to deal with the mental issues. We have to go deal with health. We got to deal with, you know, with hunger at home. There's so many issues. But we're a community and we got to support each other because our future depends on what we do for our kids right now.
Superintendent, can you maybe send you mine?
Thank you. Thank you. We want more. We want more. We're going to do everything that we can for them, you know? And you're right. I mean, we just got to make sure that the parents understand that, you know, there's a bright future ahead of them. Let's work together. We're not competing with each other, you know? Give us the support. Make sure that they're coming to school every day, and we'll do everything that we can to make sure that they're successful.
Counselor, I was wondering if I could say something.
Absolutely, yes. Go right ahead.
I've worked with the superintendent, Suzanne, for a long time, and you know, the way we funded the joint school construction board, the first projects, the first years was certainly an exercise in learning for all of us. And a lot of folks said we wouldn't get things done, especially building Fowler High School. And now we're going to have a new ball field out there. So I have a lot of confidence in your abilities to get things done. And I feel comfortable that the education of our children are in good hands with you folks, and anything we can do to help you out, I imagine we will do our best. So that's all I got to say. And
Excellent.
it's good seeing you guys. And believe me, when I take my nightly walks around my particular neighborhood, probably the most prevalent question I get from parents is, when are those schools going to open again? Yeah. So because these kids are driving me sort of crazy. So I just wanted to, I actually, I think that, and as part of that question is, have you been in contact with other superintendents, obviously in the state Board of Education? You got a strategy as far as to get our kids back into school, maybe for the fall semester?
Yes,
Jaime,
we're working on that, and it's not funny, but I just sent an article to the building administrators about the things that we need to be discussing within the next few weeks in order to get our kids back. You know, what are we gonna do to have the mental health support that our kids and our staff is going to need? Because each one of our staff members or our families know someone who's been affected by this. What are we gonna do with the resources? What are we gonna do to collect all the computers and all the equipment that we put out? If we don't get it, what are we gonna do to get new equipment to support the kids? How are we going to make sure that the facilities are ready for the kids again? So we are working on that. One of the things that the other districts are using is, you know, the TV programs that Channel 24 is putting out. But we will be ready to get our kids back. We, you know, a school district without kids in session is not a school district. I miss them. You know, it's not the same.
I can imagine.
The lessons on Channel 24, are they available for streaming for people who do have the internet?
Yes. Yes, they are.
Superintendent, I'm sorry, Rita, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So do all of the children have computers now?
No.
No.
We began giving computers at the high school level, mostly to the kids that are taking the Regents courses and the AP courses and all that, because they were supposed to take a test at the end. Now that the Regents eliminated the test at the end, we have given more laptops to kids in middle schools, and now we're going to try to get them to also elementary school. So we have used almost all the laptop we have. The only thing that we can't give out are the desktop computers that we have in the buildings, but most of the laptop, iPads, all that equipment is out to the families.
What's the number of them, Super?
Give me 1 minute and I'll tell you. $400 Chromebooks.
Is that what you need or what you have? Oh, I'm losing you.
When you move further away, we can't hear you.
Those are about 500 laptops from the district, about 400 Chromebooks, and that is not including the kids with special needs. Both they have iPads and laptops separate.
So that's not roughly 900 out?
Yes. When we look at 21,000 kids, we don't have one for every kid. And again, we ask kids how many of them have laptops and computer at home. And like I said at the beginning, only 60% of our kids have access to computers at home.
But it's 60%, you know, that you don't have to worry about giving them a laptop. So
yeah. But, you know, and then we were trying to give one per family, and there were some families that were trying to get one for every kid. And I say, sorry, we can't do that. You know, we gotta share the resources that we have.
Definitely, yeah.
And the other need is, you know, if we had the computer is having access at home, they didn't want to use their cell phones to be hotspots. So we're working on that. We're having some communication with T-Mobile for some services. Some of our parents, they went to Spectrum for the offer that it was out there. But because they owe money to Spectrum, they did not qualify for the program. So we're trying to find different ways to support our kids and our families.
So I'm going to be quiet after this, but let me just throw this out there, Super. Why don't you work with the council and the city specifically? Because since they want to do 5G, we need to be able to leverage something against some of this.
Okay. Let
That's
me
a
know
great
when the
idea.
let me know when the doors are open, or when are we gonna have the next video conference. That's one of the things that that I said before. If Microsoft wants to come into Syracuse and offer all
Right.
these services, give us
Right.
something for our kids and our families.
Right. Absolutely. All these people are coming in with all these networks, and they should be able to supply our kids with Chromebooks. Okay.
And if Spectrum wants to continue to have the rights for cable and all that in the city, well, do something for our families.
Absolutely. Okay. We could all work on that together, I would hope.
That CDC probably won't let us do too much. Remember, we went through all this like a year ago. But
Well, but they did say they had some. They did say they would have some community benefits. So we need to
They
see what
did.
the benefits would be.
Right now,
That's a great idea, Helen. Yeah, it's a great idea.
right now we order some equipment that we can try to have a band connection outside of the buildings at the high school level. So kids can go into the parking lot. I know that it's not in alignment with the social distancing, but I'm trying to get, internet wideband out there for our kids.
Okay. Are there any more questions or comments in general?
Well, if we don't go back to school and we just do online learning forever, we could probably just take the bus money and pay for internet service.
Right about that. The thing is, T-Mobile has two programs. One that is $20 a month, and you get, high-speed internet. They have another one that is $10 a month. You get 2 GB of high speed, and the rest is just slow. So we're trying to get some support to get those programs and provide our kids with a hotspot that they can use at home.
Is that something that the district pays for?
We're looking to see if we can use some of the Smart Schools bond ad for that. Again, Albany is taking a little longer to approve those plans that we submitted. So, or at least, get the information out to the parents and to see if the parents can afford some of that.
So that would be part of the adjustments that you would have to make to address the crisis, right?
Yes,
I'm sure that your budget is being impacted all over the place with this.
Oh yeah, yep. We have done a lot, spent a lot of money on mailings and all that, delivering meals and packets. And we hope that the state is going to reimburse us for that money. But you know what? Our kids deserve the same services that they're getting in other districts. So I'll do everything that I can to continue to support the kids.
Excellent.
And I said I wasn't gonna say anything else, but my brain is rolling on this. So I'm gonna say this. So superintendent,
Yes.
being that we know this hit us statewide, countrywide, so everybody's children are electronically going to school right now. So couldn't that be something that your district could approach the congressman and the governor about?
I
Because
did that yesterday. I did that yesterday with Catco.
Okay.
Yep.
What did he say?
He was gonna look into it. And I said, the discussion that you guys are gonna another $500 billion. So, give us the money that we need for technology to support the kids, to make sure that each one of our kids has a device that they can use at home, but also that there's the opportunity for connectivity, because a device without connection is just a device. So, So he said that he was gonna look into it.
Just tell him trillion's the new billion. Just give us the money.
That is so true.
No, but- Suzanne and I, we had a conference call with him yesterday. If it's for kid, I don't mind asking. I'm begging and doing whatever I gotta do. So we're working on that.
Okay, so is there anything else? Any other comments? Okay, I'll take that as a no. So thank you so much, Superintendent Alicea and CFO Slack for joining us today. And with all this information, this is great. We want to keep this relationship going and understand, better the district and ways that we can support you. So you're welcome, and I hope we can continue to do this. So thank you for joining us, and thank you everybody for joining this call.
Looking forward, and President Hudson, the next meeting with Microsoft, I'm gonna have you at the table.
I'll be there.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you, everyone.
All righty, have a good night.
Thanks, Jaime.
Night.
You're welcome.